Thanks for joining us live with Miami's Community News. And our guest today is Adam Benna, who's running for State Representative District 114.
Yes.
First, tell us where that is, more or less, the north, south, east, and west boundaries.
Absolutely. Michael, thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
It's very exciting to be here for the community newspaper. The district is South Miami, half of Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, West Miami, and then parts of unincorporated Dade right here from 67th over to US 1. So.
And that's a pretty influential area, a pretty big area. How many people will you be representing?
It would be 188,000. It's the best district in the state.
It is interesting enough that that's where our office happens to be.
It is.
And it's our last representative from that area was whom?
Javier Fernandez.
Okay.
Yep.
And he's running for mayor here in the city of South Miami?
That is correct. He's also supporting my campaign.
Oh, great. So people want to know, Adam, why should they vote for you?
Yeah.
And who you are and how you got to this particular point?
Okay, so I'll start with why I'm running, and then I'll go through the rest of the questions. We bought a house actually right up the street from your office here a little bit over 2 years ago now, and we have a 6-month-old daughter. And I've been in Miami-Dade County for about 10 years now, working and studying here, going to law school. And we're now raising a family. And there's a lot of issues, whether it's across the state or here in Miami-Dade County. And unfortunately, I feel like as we raise a family here and as a homeowner, we're not addressing the issues. And instead of sitting on the sidelines and talking about it, I'd rather put things into action and run for office. The second part is this, is that you're a voter, I'm a voter. When we vote in our representatives or our local or state officials, there needs to be some accountability. They're representing us. They're voting on issues that are going to affect us on a daily basis. And unfortunately, here in our county and in our district here in 114, we haven't had that. We've had an absent representative that, quite frankly, I go around and talk to voters all the time. No one knows who's representing them. That's a problem. So, again, I'm not sitting on the sidelines anymore. I'm hungry. I'm willing to represent. I'm committed to this process. And I want to make Miami-Dade County a better place.
So tell us about where you went to undergraduate and where you're in law school.
Graduated from UCF, Go Knights, and I went to law school at Nova. And I've practiced law now for a little over 6 years.
And what type of law do you typically practice?
I started out working for Kathy Fernandez-Rundle at the prosecutor's office here in Miami-Dade. And after that, I went into private practice. Since then, worked on everything.
So when you work for the prosecutor, that really must be an enormous responsibility to look, because most of the time you may know the victim, if you will, right? Yeah. But you represent all of us here in the state.
Absolutely.
To try to keep everybody in line.
Absolutely.
Right? And I know that the state's attorneys are overworked, grossly underpaid, right? And they have, do they have 100 cases?
Oh, yeah, well over that, man. Yeah, especially in Miami-Dade County.
And
it's one of the largest state attorney's offices in the country.
So, hey, listen, Tallahassee, fund our state attorney's office. We need more money for them. Where are we? Over here.
Well, we got to give credit to them. They did increase the salary at one point. I think it was either last year or the year before. But, you know, going to the salary portion, even with the increase, still underpaid.
Yes.
Miami-Dade County, I was living in a closet on 62nd and Biscayne when I was working for the state attorney's office. I was living in a closet, paying $900. I was making $42,000 a year in Miami-Dade County as an attorney. Spent all that money in student loan debt.
That's what your mother had it in the works for you.
Exactly. Well, my parents worked hard to at least put me in the position to go to law school, you know, and I was the first one in my family to be an attorney, so that was awesome. But yeah, no, it's you know, working for the state attorney's office, representing victims, representing the community, working with law enforcement, a high honor. But you're also working, and you know, Ms. Rundle's done a great job of the second chance and rehabilitation opportunities that are given to folks that face, you know, criminal charges. Sometimes people make mistakes, and her office, she's given, you know, prosecutors the opportunity to make decisions on a case-by-case basis, given the facts. You know, we don't have to prosecute and destroy people's lives. Rehabilitation is a big thing in that office.
So we've seen that the state attorney's office helps people get their records expunged, right? Yeah. And helps felons get back into the flow of things.
Yeah.
And so, but when you went to work there was a commitment inside you that you wanted to help on that level, and of course get that experience. But how did you decide to pick on the prosecutor side versus on the public defender side?
I interned there my 1L year of law school. I had friends that worked there that I grew up with. I went there, the opportunity of being in that office and seeing the familial atmosphere that's there. There's a lot of great people there. I know sometimes prosecutors get a bad rap because they're charging people with crimes, but there's a lot of really good people in that office that want to do the right thing, and also help the community out, whether it's obviously protecting the victims or helping rehabilitate some of the folks that get charged with a crime.
And so we know that sometimes that is a turning point where they get that break, and that is the difference between them being productive and them continuing to fail.
Yeah.
And we know if people are in prison too long, we already know what happens. They become institutionalized, basically have a difficult time getting employment. So when you find a happy ending there, as far as the state's happy, the victim is more or less happy, and the perpetrator has learned a lesson, it must have been pretty satisfying. Absolutely.
I think it helps you feel comfortable and confident in the job that you're doing for the residents here in Miami-Dade County. It's rewarding, but it's also really it's tough. It's a hard job. It really is. But the office was great, and they gave you the opportunity to make decisions. So.
And how does that prepare you for this position that you'd like to have?
I think understanding our community, some of the issues. Every day you come into contact with folks that are living in Miami-Dade County. You're working with law enforcement, which the police departments, any of the municipalities is doing a great job trying their best with the resources that they're given. I think it helped prepare me understand the layout of our county and the issues that we're facing. But I think even going back further to probably 2010 when I worked in Washington, D.C., that was probably the turning point for me after undergrad from UCF, going up to Washington, D.C., working on the Veteran Affairs Committee, working on Transportation Committee. I understood the value of a public servant that believes in giving back to the community and being present. And that was really, I think, the first time I got bit by the bug and understood the value. And, I grew up in a small town up in Central Florida. It's Deltona, Florida. So, coming down to Miami,
I remember that in the 60s.
Yeah.
Where you could buy swampland of your own.
You could. Yeah, there was like a one way in, one way out, dirt road. It's changed quite a bit now. But, it gave me, my parents really worked hard to give me an opportunity to go to college and go to Washington, D.C. and, learn a lot. So
that must be really great to be in D.C., where the local news is really national and international news.
Yeah.
The things that go on there affect everybody across the globe, obviously more here in the United States, but certainly it affects leaders from around the world. So why do you want this position as state rep?
Well, I think first off, this is an amazing district to represent. Like you said, earlier, it's an amazing place. Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, South Miami, unincorporated Dade, West Miami, all amazing municipalities with a vibrant community, diverse community. Miami-Dade is amazing. But I think the other part is that, I'm raising a family here. My wife and I bought a home, like I said, right down the street. We're raising a 6-month-old daughter.
Congratulations.
And thank you so much. It was my first Father's Day on Sunday, so that was really cool. I want to make this place better. And I think that when you get elected by the people of this county, this district, they're relying on you to make the right decisions. And, you can't wave a magic wand and, fix every single issue. However, I think that, given my past experiences, given my background as an attorney, given my, home ownership and my experience now as a dad, I understand the things that are hitting our pockets. I understand the things that are affecting our home ownership, the rising property insurance costs. I see friends of mine who are attorneys that can't even afford to live in Coconut Grove anymore. They're getting priced out. The affordability housing crisis is real. Property insurance crisis is real. Unfortunately, they're not doing anything about it in Tallahassee. They have totally forgotten about the real things that are affecting our community.
So lots of times we look at parties and we wonder how they get along.
Yeah.
The right side, the left side, the people in the middle. But at the end of the day, we're all fighting for our constituents here in Miami-Dade County.
Absolutely.
How are you going to get along with people across the aisle so that we can work on things together?
Absolutely. Well, I think the first part is being committed to doing that, which unfortunately I haven't heard a lot of folks on both sides of the aisles talk about being committed to doing that. I think that's the first thing is, being out there and saying, hey, listen, I want to work with the other side. I think there's real things that are affecting our families and our communities that we both can agree on. So let's find the common ground.
So we look at things for us here in Miami-Dade County.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have floods on our streets continuously.
Yeah.
We have 120,000 septic tanks down here. We need billions of dollars worth of infrastructure work done underneath.
Yes,
we have preserved the Everglades, right?
Yeah.
We have obviously the housing insurance crisis. We have the housing costs, right? Prices. We have farmland down in Homestead, which the rates for interest rates now to purchase and to refinance farmlands has gone up pretty dramatically. I see Miami-Dade County asked the Biden administration, can't you give our farmers a break on that?
Yep.
So we have a lot of issues going on. Miami International Airport, one of the biggest in the country.
Yep.
Certainly we have a lot of agriculture that leaves the state via trucks and the airport. We have a huge seaport, gigantic, wonderful, lots of
lot
business.
of issues.
Yes. And I see the county is already looking at tunnels. I think there are at least 5 different areas for tunnels, right? Like underground tunnels to move people, right? We have the transportation issue from here south to Florida City. Lots of stuff.
We do.
So how do you look at all these things and then decide, here are my projects that I want to do something about?
It's a very difficult task to find the exact issue that you want to champion. But it's funny because you brought up septic to sewer conversion. I actually wrote in your newspaper an op-ed about 2 years ago now, my first op-ed that I ever wrote. But as a homeowner, I said, hey, this house that was rebuilt in 2017 got a septic tank. Why are we not hooked up to sewer? So I started doing my research. That's a massive issue. 120,000 homes that still have septic. Every single time it rains here, what happens? There's a flood. There's a lake outside my house and in my backyard. We need to address that issue. And you mentioned a really big thing that I think is the thing that's holding people back is the sticker shock, because over $2 billion, in price and in the valuation of what it's going to take to actually fix this issue is a huge sticker shock. However, this issue has been going on since the 1970s. I found a memo from the federal government that was sent to Miami-Dade County saying, hey, you have a problem here. That was in the 70s. Still haven't taken care of it. Public-private partnership is probably the best route for that issue. The affordability housing crisis, there's already a fund on the state level, the Sadowski Fund. Instead of gutting it, taking away permanently hundreds of millions of dollars, why aren't we putting that money back in there to help people? Rental assistance, first-time home buyers like myself.
About how much money has been taken out of that fund that was
permanently?
Yes.
So every year they estimated about $400 million was getting allocated into that fund from the tax stamp.
Yes.
However, now permanently, I think it's about $140 million. The rest of the money is allocated to, I believe they said, environmental issues, but nothing's permanent with that, except for the only permanent thing is that they've taken the money permanently out of Sadowski for every single, budgetary session.
So we know that Miami-Dade County for many years was spending the road tax, people's tax, I forget exactly what it's called, and spending it on other things. So 10 years later, $1.2 billion, depending on what figure you want to buy into, right, is gone.
Yeah.
Right? And that $1 billion, who knows what they could have done? Could have fixed a lot of things if spent all at one time.
Maybe a couple, tens of thousands of homes on the septic to sewer conversion. That would have been great money.
Yes.
Just a thought,
So the average guy that's going to go out and vote in August and then in November, the August ones typically are people that care more, that really are passionate.
Super voters.
Right?
That's what we call them. Yeah.
How are you going to get them out to go vote?
Well, thankfully, I don't have a primary. I think we've put enough work in to make sure that people in the community know that I'm a legitimate candidate. So we're going all the way to the general. But I think the excitement, because everyone's like, well, how are you going to get voters excited? I think the first part is talking to voters, going to their doors, talking to them, introducing yourself as a candidate. Obviously, the pandemic kind of really threw a wrench in those things for many candidates. But I think now people are really wanting to have a conversation with, a candidate. But also, I think the other part is I've really tried to listen. Sometimes, you want to just give them your whole platform, but they really have a lot to say too. So, listen to what they have to say. I think it's the first part. Spend some time with the voters, let them know who you are. And I have full faith that they're going to come out and vote. I think the last couple of years, I think voters have become fed up with some of the theatrics that's going on, and they want people that are going to actually do the job.
And people want to know that they've been listened to, and I think that's primary. And then even if it doesn't get done, they've had their opportunity to express themselves.
Yeah.
We were fortunate to interview a young gentleman who had a mental episode a few years ago, who's now getting ready to graduate with his master's.
It's incredible.
And he was in here not too long ago, and he sang. He was playing the guitar, and he sang a song, "You Are Not Alone."
Yeah.
I'm here crying with his mother, right?
Yeah.
And I'm imagining him walking on Biscayne Boulevard, right, with no shoes and no shirt. So here he is today, much better, and well enough to work in the industry and to get his degree in that. What are you going to do to help the people that need, and I use this with all respect, mental health issues, so that we don't have people walking up and down the streets that are schizophrenic, that are not on medicine, that are causing harm to themselves and to others?
Yeah. Well, I know that the Homeless Trust here in Miami-Dade County is one of the model programs that we have throughout the country, and I think they've been doing an excellent job. On the state level, there's got to be funding. Let's stop taking away funds from great, organizations or, even different offices that the state of Florida has to help, with mental health. And let's start putting money back into that instead of taking, from the Sadowski Fund and taking away from mental health offices. Let's put actually money back in. And the other thing, too, I think locally that's actually been a great job. And, again, have to give credit where credit's due. The state attorney's office, Judge Leifman as well, is huge on mental health here. And
Lifelong advocate.
He is a champion.
Yes.
He is the champ. He's an amazing judge, an amazing guy, and I think like folks like that have taken on that responsibility and taken that initiative on should not only have their messages amplified, but also funding going to those things. Which again, so we can hear more, more folks playing the guitar and singing and being happy and in a good place. Because I think that makes our community better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so as we go through the journey of COVID, and we're still in that journey, obviously.
Yeah, never ending.
And the kids, all right, from age whatever it is all the way through, missed out on a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And we know that the teachers want them to be more successful and to catch up.
Yep.
I'm not quite sure where we are with those young people, and maybe in the fall it'll be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But certainly, should you get into office, I think it's a good place to look at what do we need to do to help these young people who have been isolated, right, and who are still concerned about that.
Absolutely.
And so I hope that you're able to find some time to spend that. There are lots of great groups, to do that.
Yeah.
So, and let's talk about what the state can do, and if you're elected, about our skyrocketing home insurance costs.
Well, there's quite a bit we could do. Unfortunately, I think they really let us down a couple weeks back when they said they were going to Tallahassee for a 3-day special session to address the property insurance crisis. Unfortunately, I think consumers really took the brunt again of what our governor had called significant reforms. I think those reforms, unfortunately, for immediate relief are non-existent. I don't know exactly what he was referring to about significant reforms for consumers, but really, the insurance carriers, they got $2 billion in reinsurance funds to help.
That's recently.
Yeah, this
Yes.
happened a couple weeks back in the special session. Yes. The consumers, unfortunately, some of the when you're denied an insurance coverage claim, you can seek maybe some litigation to try and have the courts intervene. Unfortunately, they've taken away some of the ability to do that for the consumer. So really, in the end, there's no choice. There's not an additional choice for any sort of insurance carrier to come in and insure our consumers. That was not addressed. The $2 billion in insurance funds is great, but there's no immediate relief. There's no moratorium or freeze on our premiums. Mine went up 20%, and I've heard of other percentages.
I'm waiting for mine.
Oh,
I know it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. And it's unfortunate, but what can we do? I think there's two things. One, for the immediate relief, I think maybe putting a freeze or moratorium on freezing premiums to give us some relief, because everything else is going up. Our FPL bill is going up, our groceries have gone up, our gas has gone up, everything's going up. The state legislature has within their control some mechanisms to help us alleviate some of these increased costs that we're facing, but they haven't done that. So I think the moratorium or a freeze on premiums would be great for a short period of time. I think that would be great to help us out. But also, how are we going to attract more insurance carriers so there's a competitive market? Obviously, we have hurricanes. That's a fact. I mean, we've had them for hundreds of years now. They're a catastrophic event that happens every time in the 6-month period here in Florida specifically. We've got to figure out a way to attract more insurance carriers, make the market more competitive. I think it was a good first step to do the $2 billion investment of taxpayer money into the reinsurance fund, but you are not going to solve a crisis in 3 days.
Yep.
Every single year, there should be a top priority of addressing our insurance market. Whenever the legislature goes to Tallahassee, they should always have as one of their top priorities, how are we going to address our insurance market? Because every single year hurricanes come. So we have to continue to evolve. We have not done anything. Even the governor said, he's like, this is the most significant reform we've had in a decade. That's a problem. That's a serious problem because hurricanes don't stop. Insurance carriers want to make their money, and the insureds want to have coverage. We've got to figure it out, and they have not done anything.
So right now, people are frustrated.
Yeah.
I think frustration was a year ago, right? And that people are not quite sure what to do. Everything is different. The shift has occurred. I'm not sure where it's going to wind up.
Yeah.
But people are unsure about what to do and about who to vote for. We're going to wrap up in a minute.
Yeah.
And what I'd like you to do is, which camera is he looking at? The red one?
This one right here?
This one right here. So
right.
are you going to talk right there and tell people why they should vote for you, Adam?
Absolutely, and I'll do it very quickly because
Okay.
the 30-second window is important. My name's Adam Benna. I'm running for House District 114. My goal is to represent everyone in our community, not one specific group. I want to go to Tallahassee. I want to work for the people up in Tallahassee. I want to work for people down in Miami-Dade County. But I also want to be here locally. I want to be present for you. I want you to know who I am. I want you to know the work that we're doing in Tallahassee is going to benefit and help your families. Because every single day you go to work and you want to know that your home ownership, your property insurance, your energy bills, that your legislature has you in mind when they're voting on all these issues. We're all suffering. The inflation costs have gone up, but I want to go to Tallahassee. I want to work for you. And I also want to work with the cities and within this district, the municipalities, to make sure that we're representing everybody in our community and we're doing the best for you. So I ask for your support, and I thank you again. My name's Adam Benna, and I'm running for House District 114. Thank you.
Wow. Very good, Adam.
Thank
so
you.
What camera are you on over here? The red one right over there? Okay. So, Adam, we wish you lots of good luck.
Thank
right?
you.
People want it. People should get to know you. They can reach you. They can look you up, and they can find you. They can call you.
AdamBenna.com.
All right.
Simple.
And easy enough.
Yeah.
AdamBenna.com. You can find him.
Yeah.
And again, the South Miami Coral Gables, part of West Miami, part of unincorporated, and part of Coconut Grove.
Yes, sir. That's
It's a great
correct.
district. All right. People
Yeah.
say you don't live in South Miami. I said I spend 15 hours a day in South Miami. I think that qualifies.
Absolutely.
Adam Benna.
Thank you so much,
And,
sir.
thank you for
It was
being
a pleasure.
and congratulations on taking a big step, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us again. This is live with Miami's Community News. Have a great day.
Thank you.